Hi everyone, Sam here from Wiggle. Now today we're joined by Bruce Dalton, who's the team manager of Team Spectra Wiggle and all-round gravel expert, and he's going to be joining me here in the Peak District to talk through some of his top gravel tips. How are we doing, you right?
Really good.
Let's go.
So, first thing we're going to talk through, Sam, is touch points. So what I mean by that is everywhere that you touch on your bike, you have that intimate connection between bike and ground, and with gravel, the ground is the thing that we're trying to like anticipate and move around. So being comfortable and relaxed on the bike is really important. So when you hold the bars, you want a loose grip, relatively loose grip, and generally speaking, dependent on how fast you're going to be going, you're going to be in different positions. So if you're just cruising along on the top, you're going to be on the flats. You know, you're not realistically, you're avoiding obstacles. Really, they're coming at you, but you don't need to brake regularly. The most common position for everyone to ride is, as you know, is on the hood. You know, you're familiar with it, and you're all set up to do so. If you're coming down some steep descents as well, you may want to be on the drops. Conversely, it puts your body position in the wrong position, but actually what we do is we mitigate that with the rest of our body and we move it further backwards. Yeah. So that loose grip means that you can have access to your shifters and your brakes, but in reality, you've still got enough grip on the bars there that if you hit that little thing, that little rock, that little edge, lip, whatever, you can still hold on to the bars. And the biggest thing with gravel, obviously, is that's constant. So you may want to sit back and feel comfortable riding with hands on the bars, as you clearly capable of doing on the road. But it becomes a more difficult beast off-road.
Absolutely.
So we then move ourselves back to the pedals. So a lot of the time on a gravel bike, I find that I push typically one gear bigger than when I'm actually riding on the road. Mainly because a lot of the time that increases the suspension through your thighs. Being able to push against something kind of makes it a little bit smoother. I mean, I've learned that through cyclocross. You push a bigger gear through the mud, and actually that's sort of smoother stuff. So what that does is it allows you to suspend slightly in your balls of your feet with your pedals, and that obviously that works really well if you've got clip-ins. If you've got flats, you're still going to do that, but you're just probably going to drop your heels a little bit more and rotate your ankle around a little bit, and that's just a pedaling style thing. But that's one gear up and making it a little bit more suspension in the legs. And then the other contact point, which is the big one, is the saddle, which a lot of the time off-road, you will still be seated. But there will calls for occasions where we'll probably see later that you might want to lift your bum off the saddle and ride either standing or at least certainly be out the saddle. And I like to go into position, the ready position, lots of people will call it, but I call it the monkey. It's when I'm teaching my girlfriend. It's just loose hips and it's bent legs and it's all wide. And we're looking to be able to get that bike fully underneath you. And we're going to swiftly cut to some B-roll of me doing the monkey now. And what that does is it allows us to be ready to accept all of the conditions that the bike's moving underneath us. So we'll go through that, and that will really unlock a smooth riding experience on a gravel bike.
Brilliant, fantastic.
So the next sort of top tip for gravel is mental state. Now, it might sound a little bit meta, and it might be potentially overthinking it, but actually it's the biggest thing I think people make a mistake with gravel riding, which is calm down.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are on a hard surface with a loose component over the top. It, by its very nature, is slippery. And it's slippery in a way that you'll become more familiar the more you ride your bike on the surfaces, and you can get to feel that slide and that slip. But actually, most of the mistakes people make on a gravel bike or riding on the gravel is because they're too hasty on the brakes and they're not looking far enough forward, and that's because they're a little bit too tight and just need to relax a little bit. And it's the same with a lot of off-road riding, is that making sure that you are just calm, take a moment, deep breath, before you go into any of these technical sections. It just gives you the clarity to be able to process what you need to do. So most of these things are very, very simple.
So you just need to get out of your head, let the bike roll, and just relax.
That's it. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah. This next one is all about using your head, but it's using your head to guide your body. What we really want to do with this is when you're riding, your head defines where you go. As we look around, our bodies turn rivers. And so what we're going to do is link up the whole system. We've been talking about the contact points and that sort of awareness of the trails. If we use our head, we steer with our head and look forwards. The biggest thing that riders do is they look too close to the front wheel. They spend all their time focusing on a 8 feet space in front of their bike. And in reality, when you're riding along at 30k an hour, 8 feet in front of you just isn't far enough. You need to be looking really, really far up front, and it really extends the faster you're going. So if you're going onto a section, and it becomes particularly important for technical stuff, where actually most of the time you can avoid technical lines, and on a gravel bike, you know, we're not on mountain bikes, we haven't got the suspension, we haven't got that same size of tyre and that comfort that we've got there. So we need to use our mind to be able to get ourselves through these sections and our head to guide us through them. Bike setup. You've got your bike, you feel relatively comfortable on it, but there's a few things you can do to really improve how you feel on the bike. It's not going to cost you anything, it's just about getting it all set up. So first thing Sam has done correctly is he's got his saddle height all good. Feel comfortable, right? About right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I do think I'd go a little bit lower though. I think it's more at my road bike height at the moment. So yeah, going for my gravel height, I think drop it down by a few mil, would you say?
That's exactly what I would do. Yeah, I always have it slightly a little bit lower when I'm riding off road, and it really makes a little bit of difference to be able to move around. It's only a little bit, but you do notice it.
Absolutely.
And going lower, you won't feel it in your knees as well, but going higher, you'll certainly feel it. So always, yeah, go down if in doubt. Then on your shifters, and just the roll back and the tilt on the bars, so you can actually hold the position of the shifter and it's meant to be. If you're able to reach forwards, and this is particularly, I've got massive hands, so I don't have a problem with shifters, but if you've got small hands, you can really struggle to get to the front of the brake, and that might mean adjusting the bite point on some of the levers, so particularly on SRAM systems where you've got that adjustability in there as well. Tyre pressure is a biggie. It's the tyre talking gravel is boring, but it happens all the time and it's really important.
Indeed, yeah, no, absolutely. So would you have differing pressures between tyres, or would you be running it the same? What's your advice?
So for me, I will always run a slightly bit more in the rear tyre, particularly on gravel, where you might be doing, if we go from gravel into adventure, you might be going on a longer trip, you might have a little bit more weight on the bike. So always think about how much weight you've got on there. Even having 3 fully loaded 750ml bottles adds, you know, a decent amount of weight to your bike. So consider running a little bit more in the rear, slightly less in the front, and then also adapt that to conditions. So here we are in Carsington, really smooth gravel, where we're going to be riding later today, where I'll go and show Sam. The trails are a little bit more rough and ready, and therefore we need to have a little bit more pressure in there to deal with that. I have actually been experimenting recently with rim defenders as well, which are bit of foamy tech that seems to be really good. So don't know if you want me, that's something that, you know, very cost effective and they work really well. But generally speaking, tyre pressure can really affect how comfortable you are as well. So dropping it down really makes a big difference.
Awesome, brilliant. And what about looking after your braking system?
As you say, like brakes, you know, you've got it, if you're going to be going fast on those lovely, soft, comfortable tyres, you need to slow down. So keeping your rotors and keeping your system clean. So a classic one is you get back from your ride, you wash your bike off, you spray all the, you know, the lube that you want all over your cassette and your chain, and you spray all over your rotors, and you cannot stop when your rotors are contaminated. So clean them off with isopropyl alcohol. There's quite a lot of little spray can systems. I don't know, you might have seen those. Yeah, absolutely. And your gears as well, I'm guessing, you know, they also need to be working perfectly as well. The big thing that you often do with off-road riding, more so than on the road, is that you'll come into technical sections, and rather than on the road where you know, normally backing off a little bit, you have to apply the power to get up that section. So if your gears aren't perfectly adjusted, and they're usually at the top of the block when you're going hard, that's where you get yourself into a pickle. So make sure your bike is in fine fettle on those climbs, because that's where you're going to need it, where you're dropping those watts to clean those sections. That's it, nice one, perfect. So much like me and Sam are standing right now, riding close and tight is fantastic on the road. But off-road, you want to give yourselves a little bit more space. So when I'm riding with Sam later on, and when we're just out together and we're out with various people, you want to give yourself as much room between everyone as possible whilst keeping that kind of group dynamic. What I tend to do is just an extra few seconds braking time when I'm riding off-road with people, whereas on the road you might, you know, keep quite close and tight. Yeah. So it's just that little bit of thinking time. It's purely that, it's not just for you, it's the safety of the others that are riding with you, because you may see something and brake. And I think another thing which comes from club riding, which is actually pointing out obstacles. You know, if you're riding in a group, why not point it out to the other people? Because the chances are the person in the back, if you're out with a group of 3 or 4, you're still probably going to just go through it. You might not be riding 2 abreast, you might be more 1 down than, you know, we're not trying to avoid traffic or anything. That's the brilliant thing about gravel. But if you can give yourselves that bit of room, it just makes a really pleasant experience, and you can go and have fun with your friends.
Spot on. Cool, so yeah, those tips, Bruce, were wicked. Just being really nice and relaxed, having a good setup on your bike, and just having faith and trust and taking it nice and easy makes a world of difference to your riding. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's just going to make gravel an enjoyable experience, and you know, you can get out there and discover some amazing places in your gravel bike.
Awesome, brilliant. So if you guys want to see more from Bruce, you can head on over to the Team Spectra Instagram page. But that's all from us, so we'll see you soon. Cheers.